connector on the compressor.
Alright guys, so here we are. It's the next day. I got my other parts, so here's what I'll be doing now. Here's the old alternator, the old belt, and the old pulley, which doesn't even exist anymore because it fell off. Here's the new pulley. This is what it should look like, but as you can tell, pieces fell off while driving on the freeway, and so here's the new one. This was about 50 bucks. Links will be in the description for the pulley, the belt, the alternator, as well as any tools that I may have used. If I missed anything at the beginning, everything will be listed there. So that's just a short recap. So yeah, I'll go ahead and stick the new alternator back in there. And really the only difficult part about getting the old alternator out was this little bracket right here, because the bolt actually goes behind that little lip. I don't know if I can show you, maybe from this angle here. Yeah, behind that right there, there's a little hole for the bolt. So that was the most difficult thing. As long as you unplug this connector from the compressor, then it shouldn't be difficult to remove. In this one, just remember there's a little push tab thing right there. If you don't press on that, you might rip out the cable. So just make sure to unplug this from the AC compressor, and you really shouldn't have that big of an issue getting the old alternator out. But anyways, let's go ahead and get started here. I'll use this shot here to show you how I put the new alternator. So now, before we put the new alternator in there, we actually need to remove that bracket right there that holds the old pulley system. So we removed one bolt down there in the corner previously. To be able to get the alternator out, we'll have to remove the one on the other corner, and it looks like there is one more at the top. So let me show you that. This one should be easily accessible right there, as you can tell, right there. Just take that one out, and that should be another 1/2 inch bolt. I'll need 2 hands, but you get the point. Remove that one, and it looks like there's one more right there. So remove those 2, and that little bracket should come off, and we can replace it with the new pulley. So there's that bolt, which came from right there. You really shouldn't have to worry too much about tracking these bolts, because they all have this number 7 on them, so they all should be the same. But remove the one up there as well. So this one here you should be able to get from down under the car. So just get your socket in place there, and you should be able to get that one loose. As you can tell there, that's already coming off. Alright, so there's that bracket there. I pulled from that area, and that should actually give us a little bit more clearance to put the alternator in. So I'll go ahead and do that now before we install the pulley. Alright, so at this point, grab your alternator and slowly lift it in here. So taking out the alternator and putting the new one back in can be a bit of a hassle. And be careful with this because it is heavy and you don't want it falling on your face while you're doing this. Alright, here we go, it's going in slowly. Just keep wiggling it until it goes in. Okay, here we go. Now you can flip it and get it up in place here. And at this point, we can let it rest here for a minute, but you need to grab the big bolt, this big bolt, and secure it through this hole down here. So I'll go ahead and do that now. But yeah, get this, and this goes from the other side towards this side. Alright, so there is the alternator now. And if I can show you here from this side, down in there, if I can get some light. So right there, you can see that bolt is holding it on that hinge. So at this point we need to install the bolt back at the top of the alternator, which was the most difficult one, this one here. So here is that little, the hole right there, right there. So when you pull the alternator up, you should see that line up with the alternator there, and then the bolt goes on the other side. So over here where my finger is. Sorry, I can't really show you that very well, but once again, whoever engineered this, I don't know what they were thinking. Alright, so there is that. There's the alternator. There's the bracket. And it's just barely tightened, so the alternator can still wiggle around a little bit. At this point, we need to reassemble the idle pulley. So go ahead and take this apart if you got a brand new one. And then we'll reassemble it here really quickly. And then you should be able to put this just in the bracket here. As you can tell there, it has a groove. So that groove will go up and down on this. Alright, so with the new idle pulley, go ahead and unscrew this completely. And this, by the way, is on backwards. So you go clockwise to unscrew it. So it's threaded the other way around than you normally would see. Once you have done that, you should see this little piece. Take that out completely, and then re-tighten this back up. And then this will go right there. Thread it back almost all the way back in. Don't go all the way back in because it'll get tight. But after you have that, then get this that came with your new idle pulley. And there, as you can tell, there's that metal groove, so this can move up and down here. Okay, so after you've put that in there, put this in there. Then grab this and slide this up top.
you might have to get this out a little bit, so you can put this there. After you have that, you should have this little metal thing right there. Then you can get this one, put that in there, and put this one there, then put this one there, and then put this on top, and then get the nut. It goes right here. And that's it. Let me show you here from the side so you can see the layout. So that goes in the back. Washer there. Then the main piece up here to tighten it. Then this other bigger piece. And then this metal piece. Then the pulley. Then this other metal shield. And then the nut. And now should be able to install this back up in here. Now that I showed you how that's laid out, the easiest way to get this installed is to actually unscrew this here so that it goes all the way up, and that way it puts tension on this. This way, see, it doesn't move anymore, and you still have easy access to these bolts. After that, you can untighten this a little bit and then put that pulley back on. But it's a lot easier to get this installed if you don't actually have the pulley on it just yet. So again, this goes up here, and I'll just put the bolt up here at the top and show you what it looks like after that. Because of the fact that we can do this, it's actually easier for us to get the alternator fully installed first. So we'll go back up here and tighten this bolt at the top, and then put the harnesses in and plug stuff in back here. So here you can see the bolt. It's right there. You can see the bolt. And I'm turning it very slowly over here behind that bracket. It's right there. This part will take some time. Be patient. This is, as mentioned, the worst bolt out of the whole process here. At this point, go ahead and push out this small harness. Push that one towards the bottom. That one's going to the AC compressor. And get this plug and plug it back into the alternator. So push that back in there. It should click, or at least be very hard to pull out. Yeah. Push it in until it clicks, and that should be secure now. Then after that, get this grounding little thing and put it. You should have 2 nuts on this grounding screw. So remove one, put this on top, and then grab the other one and tighten this back up in place. After you have that on tightly, go ahead and just cover it with the rubber there, and then you need to go back down to the bottom here and use this nut to tighten that long screw that we put into the alternator. So there's that nut that I just showed you. Just go ahead and tighten that one up so the alternator stays in place. Also, the little clip on that side, frankly, I don't think it matters if it's on top or bottom, but I believe it should be better. Yeah, I don't think it really matters. I'm just gonna leave mine down here. If anyone
knows anything about it specifically, then that little bar actually leave a comment down below. As you're turning this, as you're tightening the nut, it will go towards the back and catch there so that you can actually get this tight. So it really doesn't matter, it'll just go towards the back. And then this is a 9/16. Alright, so now that the alternator is secure at the top and the bottom, we can go ahead and reinstall this pulley. So again, make sure to have this in there, and then unscrew this as much as possible to put tension down here at the bottom. And that way it won't fall off, and then just go ahead and put those screws back here, and those were the ones that have. Actually, before we put this back on, if you're like me and you don't want to do this ever again because it's a pain, if you want to replace this other belt, this belt just controls the power steering pump right there. And so to get that out, to get that belt off, let me show you what you need to do. Up here, right there, you will see the pulley tensioner screw, and up there you'll see the screw that actually holds the tension after you've screwed it into whatever tension you want with that screw there. So what you need to do is get that screw loosened up first. That one up there is a 12mm bolt. This part is very difficult if you don't have wrenches. If you have a wrench like this, a ratcheting wrench, then your life is going to be much easier. So I'll have a link in the description to these. I personally don't have a full set of ratchet wrenches, so I've been using just normal ones. So let me show you. This is what I've been using. You're going to need a 14mm wrench or ratchet wrench and a 12mm wrench or ratchet wrench. The 12mm is going to help you with the bolt up there, and the 14mm will help you on the bolt that's behind this. So let me get under the car here and show you that one. Okay, so here is probably the best way to see it. That bolt right there that's almost out, that one is a 14mm. So let me get that one out of there right now, if I can show you. So right there is that bolt, and now that I've unscrewed it, it's one of these longer bolts, so should be able to take that out like that. And then after you have taken that long bolt out, you should be able to get that one loose right there. And then this one needs to be tightened. So tighten that one up and you'll notice the pulley coming down. And then you'll be able to remove this belt and replace it with the new one. Let me show you that now. Alright, so after you have cranked the tensioner bolt in, let me see if I can show you that right down there. I kind of screwed mine up, so I had to add a washer there to add more pressure, but you should be able to just screw it clockwise, and then this will actually come down a little bit, which will release tension on this belt, and then you can simply just get
that belt out and replace it with the new one. If you need to check if your belt needs to be changed, just look at it. See how that is cracked? Now this is something I didn't want to do for a long time, so here's the new belt, which will also be in the video's description. And as you can tell with that one, there is no cracks. So with this one, just go ahead and route it back there behind this big pulley, and then up and around the... Alright, so here is a little bonus thing that I haven't seen anyone mention on any forums or on any videos. So the power steering pump here actually has that bolt, you know, that bolt that goes to the back, and it's I don't know, about 10 inches long or so. Do not take that bolt out. Just get it loose, but do not take it out. If you take it out, then you're going to have a very hard time putting it back in. If you do take it out, the way to put it back in, as I did, is to actually get the pulley all the way loose, or get it all the way down again, and so the belt is loose again, and then get that bolt right there and stick it in from the other side, and while it's there, use a hammer like this and hit right here. So let me see if I can show you here. So you'd want to use it with your right hand and hit right there. I know that's the that's a high pressure hose, but if you hit it right there, don't hit it obviously too hard, but this is the only place where you're going to be able to hit. So hit it there as you're using your left hand to put the put that bolt back in place. Eventually you'll get it in, and then you can tighten it with a wrench or something. And if you're unsure what I'm talking about, let me see if I can shine the light up there and show you exactly where that bolt is. So that bolt is right there. Trying to get the light shined in there, but yeah, it's that one right there. Kind of has a bigger head than the other ones, and it's the one that's holding the power steering pump in place. So after you've made sure that bolt is secured, the one on the other side of the pump, go ahead and unscrew that one so that it pushes down and pulls the pulley back up. So this one should be going down, the pulley should be going up, and then once you have it to a tension where you can get about like that much, that should be okay. That should be enough tension. About a quarter turn, half a turn, yeah, about a quarter turn, that should be enough tension, and then you can secure that tensioning secure nut or bolt up there. Okay, so now after you have done that, make sure that securing bolt back there in the darkness right there is secure. Make sure that one's okay as well, and then you can jump around the back and secure the long bolt in the back. So here is that bolt that I was referring to. Right there, you can barely see it. This one there. And this is the actual power steering pump. And you can see the hoses running out here. So just get this one tightened up and then we should be good to move on. Alright, now with the little bonus of the replacing the power steering pump belt, we can move back on towards installing the this pulley here, this tension pulley. And again, make sure you've got the bolt in there, a washer, then this, and then unscrew this or go counterclockwise. So this goes up, or actually you go clockwise on this until you get some pressure on there, and now this won't fall off, and then we should be able to reinstall this using the 3 bolts. And again, those are the bolts that should have a little number 7 on them. So go ahead and reinstall this back here. Go ahead and reinstall it right here. There's going to be those 2 and the one up there. And yeah, just put that back and I'll show you the finished result. So there you can see the 2 bottom bolts. And if I go up here, you should be able to see the 3rd one. And these are the same as the tensioner. It's a 12mm socket. I believe a 1/2 inch works. Alright, now at this point we can install the actual pulley on there. This O-ring goes in first. Then this. Then the actual pulley. Then you have this metal shield, and then you have the nut that goes in there at the end. So go ahead and put that in. You might have to push the bolt from the other side to actually get it to pop out here on this side. Alright, so there's the pulley. As you can tell, it should be flush with this big pulley as well. So there shouldn't be a gap or anything. And remember to tighten this nut. Now after you've installed the pulley, you can go ahead and put the compressor here back, the AC compressor back in place. And remember, that was being held by 4 long bolts that are attached to the oil pan. Once you have attached the air compressor down here, remember to reach up and grab the harness here that connects to the air compressor or to the AC compressor and plug that back into the compressor. Otherwise, you won't have AC. Alright, so there, as you can tell, is the AC compressor back in place. Remember to get this hose and clamp it back up here, just to make sure it doesn't get cut or anything like that. Then remember also to put the hoses back in their clamps up here, as well as clamp the wire harnesses back in place. And now all we need to worry about is the new belt, the new drive belt. So in order to put this in, we should be able to route it through all those pulleys here. You're gonna need your new belt. And actually the easiest way to put this in is to grab it like this and bend it like that. And then stick it in like this. This part is the only part that's going to touch the tensioner pulley. The rest of the belt will touch all the other pulleys. So in order to do that, you need to tighten this tension pulley, loosen it up, and then it'll give you enough leverage to be able to set the belt in place. So after you have tightened the little pulley up there, then you should be able to get this up here, and you should have enough slack to be able to go up and around the alternator there. And notice this goes around here, goes up here, it'll go up there, it'll go around the alternator and come back down and swing around this pulley, and this pulley will push down and provide tension so it doesn't slip out. Make sure this nut right here is loose on the tension pulley. This way it can actually move up and down while you're setting the as you can tell there, while you're setting the belt. After you have set the belt, set the tension up there first, and then once you have it tight enough, then set this nut as hard as you possibly can. So you want to unscrew or go counterclockwise this way to loosen up tension, and then you want to go clockwise to give it more tension. So loosen it up a little bit so that you can get the belt around all. Alright, so here as you can tell, the belt is back in place, routing up over the alternator, down under the pulley, and over this, the engine, and back and around. So at this point we need to tighten up the pulley at the top. So basically we push the pulley back down by tightening it clockwise up there, and then we can tighten up this nut to secure it. You can just hand tighten this until it starts to get a little hard, and then you can use a 9/16 wrench to tighten that up, or a socket if you have one. And remember, just tighten the belt until you're able to twist it about 1/4 of the way around. Remember to test the tension every so often to make sure you didn't put too much tension, because that will wear your belt out. Alright, so after you have the belt on tight, it has about 1/4 to 1/2 a turn, you can go ahead and tighten this nut here, and that should tighten up the pulley, and your belt shouldn't slip at all. After you've done that, replace the 2 bolts here for this oil line, and then you can go ahead and put the tire back on. Don't forget to plug your battery back in, and you may need to charge it afterwards if your battery completely died due to the alternator not working. So keep that in mind, or have a friend around to help you jumpstart your car. Alright, so after you've put those bolts back in, tighten the pulley, go ahead and put this shield back in, and then put the tire back on. As you should already know, with the tires, always cross thread, so this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and so forth, till you get the whole thing tightened up. Then lower the car and tighten them up just a little bit more. But yeah, that is it for this video on how to replace the drive belt, the power steering belt, and the alternator, as well as the idle pulley on a 2002 Nissan Maxima. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.